Importance of English for jobs is a well-known fact, but what skips the larger consciousness of the privileged many is the fact that in India, professional education can be accessed only in English. That explains why millions of kids who study in the regional language schools drop out in college or do not pursue professional education. The single biggest non-financial reason for college dropout or non-pursual of professional education is inability to cope up with English. Mobile phones are becoming cheaper, internet will penetrate deeper. However, the content on the internet is largely English. 60% of all content on the internet is in English, less than 1% is in Indian regional languages. The youth with the mobile phone in his hand who does not understand English is likely to reduce the power of the internet enabled mobile phone to watching just movies and images. Universality of education in India is largely achieved. 97% of all kids in this country are enrolled in schools. Having said that, 75% of kids who study in grade 5 are unable to read simple basic English sentences, while almost 75% of kids, an equal number, studying in 8th standard cannot understand simple basic English sentences. 200 million kids study in rural government schools. It may be worth our while to understand why is it that English being a subject from grade 1, kids in 8th standard cannot read or comprehend simple English. The only two ways in which kids in rural parts of this country can learn English are: one, through the government school teacher, which is the formal education system, and secondly is an outside of school tutor, which is the non-formal education system. 60% of kids who study in rural government schools do not have access to any outside of school support. In such a scenario, the responsibility of teaching English to a regional language student studying in government schools falls squarely on the shoulders of the government school teacher. Now, this government school teacher is a yesteryear's product of the same constrained environment. She has come from the regional language schooling system and hence may not be able to either speak in English or is not confident to deliver classroom instructions in English. So, how do we solve this problem? 200 million kids in rural government schools, only one option to learn English: through the government school teacher or the local teacher who does not know English. At LeapForward, we have designed a solution whereby English can be taught in the mother tongue. We have made English like mathematics. It is rule based so that teachers do not go wrong. It can be delivered in Marathi in Maharashtra, Kannada in Karnataka, Telugu in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana, and Tamil in Tamil Nadu. It does not matter what state are you in, English like mathematics can be delivered in the mother tongue by a teacher who no longer is expected to know English fluently. How could we do that? Much like Google Translate, through years of iterations, we developed a set of rules which translates English into any Indian regional language and vice versa. On top of these rules is a structured program which we call the English literacy program, designed primarily for regional language backgrounds, thousands of such places across the country, targeted towards kids in the age group of 7 to 12, so that over a period of 2 years through a 5-level intervention, the child will be able to read, write, comprehend and structure grammatically correct sentences. So, English through the mother tongue, through a person who did not know English, can take a child in that community, wherever that child is, from complete English illiteracy to a stage where the child can read, write, comprehend and structure grammatically correct sentences. The mother tongue need not be a formal language, it need not have a script. As long as the language is spoken, English can now be taught in that language. However, a flagship delivery program is called the Teacher Entrepreneur Program. Youth who are educated but do not have jobs in rural areas are identified, trained, certified and enabled to start an English learning class in their respective communities. And what do? They charge a fee. How much? 1 rupee or 2 rupee a day. So, this teacher entrepreneur for about 2 hours of teaching every day earns up to about 3,000 rupees a month. These teacher entrepreneurs are educated, they do not have a job, so once they finish with LeapForward's teaching, they go back to doing what they were doing. And what do? They are farmers, they are tailors. There is a teacher entrepreneur who is a peon in a school. There is a teacher entrepreneur who paints walls in government schools. They are educated, don't have jobs, but now suddenly have found a means to start a language learning center and teach kids in their community English. This meager income, it is in that sense respectable but not yet big, 3,000 rupees per month, has brought some amount of prosperity to our teacher entrepreneurs. This prosperity is evident from some visible indicators. For example, one of our teacher entrepreneurs' son has been enrolled into civil engineering program. Some teacher entrepreneurs have built toilet for the first time. Some have purchased a motorcycle to ease transportation challenges. Some have paid off their long or historical debts. But something beautiful also happened along with these visible indicators of prosperity. Shamlal Paura is our oldest serving teacher entrepreneur in the tribal belt of Shirpur, district Dhule, state Maharashtra. He stays in a village called Joida. This year, along with his friends, he contested the Gram Panchayat elections and they won. But Shamlal Paura chose not to become the Sarpanch. He chose to remain a Samiti member. Post the elections, he came up to us and said, I have a small desire. I have worked with LeapForward for the last 4 years and I want to make Joida completely English literate, which is every single child in Joida should be able to read, write, comprehend and structure grammatically correct sentences by the time this child finishes grade 6. Shamlal Paura is a college dropout. He enrolled for graduation but failed. Any marks for guessing which subject he failed in? English. So he is a guy who couldn't complete his education because he has failed in English but harbors this big dream of making his village English literate. This small desire expressed by Shamlal led to a 3-party meeting. The Gram Panchayat led by the Sarpanch, the Zilla Parishad school teacher, there are 5 Zilla Parishad schools in that village, the school teachers and LeapForward. So Gram Panchayat put its hand up and said, we will pay a small honorarium to the teachers who will run this program. Shamlal put his hand up and said, it's my job to identify 4-5 really good youth who are willing to give the next 2 years to make my village English literate. The Zilla Parishad says, if you guys are going to do so much, we will give the school premises for running these classes before school hours, but also ensure there is no bunking of classes. We will go to houses and encourage parents to send every child to the class. And LeapForward then puts its hand up and says, if you guys do so much, we are obviously going to do what we do. We are going to train the child, train the teacher, we are going to monitor the child's performance. So at the heart of English literacy program developed by LeapForward is a proprietary assessment framework which can monitor the performance of every child and thereby recommend corrective customized teaching actions to the teacher. At LeapForward, we have harbored this dream for a very long time, to realize an end state where kids in this country have equal access to opportunities. Kids in this country do not lose out on careers of their choice because of this simple problem of English. Shamlal Paura has put up his hand and taken up upon himself a cause much larger than him, to make his village Joida the first English literate village in the country. A college dropout from a tribal heartland in Maharashtra puts his hand up to pick up a cause. I am sure he will be remembered for good, but not just that, he will inspire the thousands and lakhs amongst us to also take up a cause and execute it and be remembered for good.